Big up yourself.
Hi guys, thank you for tuning in. Right, it is the BKCHAT London reaction. Guys, was this episode not epic? Okay, so we're on episode 3. It has been very, very exciting. Like, I must say, this is what's up. This is what I'm talking about. This is kind of reminding me of like season 1, you know, like the original. It's giving me like original feel. It's not giving me, you know, the seasons that came after where it was just kind of like a bunch of people who just wanted to be on BKCHAT and maybe get a little bit of fame off it. Like, this is giving me, they are talking, the topic is good. Like, the topics have been good. The last week it was good. This week is good again. Next week, like, come on, like, I feel like it's only gonna get better. So definitely I'm excited, and big up everybody. So I'm gonna go through the people that stood out to me. I'm gonna read the question because I feel like we need to understand the question, because I do feel like they definitely went off tangent. And yeah, so let's have a look at the question quickly. So, or the case study, as I like to call them. Your son, who is 16/17, asked if he can invite his male friend over for his birthday dinner. After searching his social media, you find out that his friend is actually his boyfriend, but your son hasn't come out as gay. What do you do? And then of course there's titled it, why are you trying to push your agenda on me? Dun dun dun. And I feel like that came after. That's what it basically became about. Why are you trying to push your agenda on me? Oh, that's my baby. Yeah, so I feel like that's what it became. Sorry about that, guys. That's what it became about, pushing the agenda. And that was, I think that came from the whole Emmanuel, which is what it turned out like. It wasn't even about the subject anymore. But let me just go through who stood out to me. So NK stood out to me, Sharla stood out to me, Folake, I love Folake, Ezo, and Emmanuel. Of course, Emmanuel, second time round. Like, if I had to give an award, the award would definitely go to Emmanuel, because big up him for him to stand up in a room full of people who literally disagreed with him, or some people I feel like agreed with what he was saying but were too afraid to speak out, maybe because of cancel culture, because of favoritism, because of popularity, for whatever reason. They obviously felt like, nah, I'm not going to touch this subject, because we all know this type of subject will really get you cancelled. But you know what? I loved the fact that Emmanuel was just like, nah, like, this is my belief and I'm going to stand my ground. Like, I'm on a debate show and I'm going to speak my mind. Like, I'm not just going to say something just because it sounds good. Like, if you don't like it, I'm sorry, but it is what it is. And that's what they completely made it about. Like, they just made it about him. And what I didn't like and what I didn't appreciate was the fact that they were trying to like draw him out. It's like, why are you trying to draw me out? And what was even more interesting was that they had 2 gay boys in there, maybe more. It's very questionable at this stage. And it would have been nice for them to, instead of shouting at Emmanuel, it would have been nice for them to like maybe educate, do you know what I mean? Or maybe kind of like bring in their experiences a little bit, and to try and bring in a little bit of light and a little bit of understanding. But instead you had people like NK telling Emmanuel to just shut up and stop talking. It's like, well, no, actually this is BKCHAT, you're supposed to chat back. Like, why are you telling me to shut up for? Just because you don't agree with what I'm saying, then now I should suddenly shut up? Like, that doesn't even make sense. Please, like, are you you really acting as if you're advocating here? Like, are you protesting or what? Like, the way NK was going, like, he was being so extra. Like, I really didn't I wasn't warming up to him in this episode. Like, I didn't understand where he was coming from. Like, are you coming out? Like, are you, like, why are you're doing the most? That you're actually doing the most. And to think that to think that you have Africans and Jamaicans on there who would have had people in their family who possibly didn't accept them because of the way that they think, who understand what it's like growing up in an African household or growing up in a Jamaican household as gay. They're acting as if it's not realistic thoughts that Emmanuel was having. Like, this is very much realistic. Like, I feel like they're forgetting that this is not about our era. Like, this is not about our generation. Like, this is about like as a whole. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, forget about how we are so open-minded, forget about how we are trying to be so inclusive, forget about that for 1 second and just be realistic. You have aunties, uncles, parents who will not just be like, oh yeah, my son's gay, hee hee ha ha. Like, no, it's gonna hit different. Like, they're gonna be like, what? You are what? Like, do you understand? Like, it's the same thing what Falaka was trying to say, but I didn't like the fact that she was playing devil's advocate and then she just kind of like left Emmanuel in the lines then like that, when she knew very much so what he was trying to say and where he was coming from. But she just kind of like done that to him. Like, I didn't like that, especially because she was just like, oh, my parents would be very upset. Exactly. So that's what Emmanuel was trying to say. The guy was not saying that he would disown his son. If he was saying that he would disown his son, then yes, you can stand there and argue that you're obviously not accepting it because you're disowning him. The fact that he's not accepting it is because it's not part of his belief. But the fact that he's not disowning his son, it means that he will that he still loves his son regardless. Like, his love hasn't changed. Like, do you know what I mean? But he just doesn't accept it because he doesn't accept the act. He does not, it's not that he doesn't accept his son. He doesn't accept what his son is doing because he doesn't believe in it. But he's not disowning his son. Like, I just don't get what is difficult to understand. Like, I feel like they were trying to draw him out, like, unnecessarily. Like, instead of you to actually be instead of you to like try and make me understand where you're coming from, you're doing the most. And what I didn't appreciate was the fact that it seemed like they were projecting their past traumas on his opinion and on him. Like, you know, when they were saying words like, oh, even when Falaka was saying words like, oh, disappointing, you know, like really strong terms. Like, I get it, like, as a young person, these are words that you don't want to hear from your parents anyway, bearing in mind being gay. Like, that's another level, do you know what I mean? So it kind of felt like the fact that they took those words so personally, it's like, well, that is the right term. Like, it is deceitful is actually the right term. Like, deceitful is you've deceived me, like, you're telling me, like, you've not told me the truth. Like, okay, maybe in this particular instant, like, he's not told you the truth, so technically it's like he's not lied to you, he's just not been open with you about his relationship. So okay, if you want to bring in another argument, you could say this. Let's say if it's just like a normal relationship, right, a boy and a girl, the guy says, okay, I want to bring my female friend over, but it's actually his real girlfriend. Would you still have the same reaction? Is the reaction a little bit more because he's gay, or is the reaction because he didn't tell you? Like, these are the kind of questions that should have been prone more, rather than trying to draw someone out because they say, for example, they wouldn't come to somebody's wedding. Like what Folake was saying, that in her households there are rules and regulations, and I can definitely vouch for that, because growing up I wasn't even allowed male friends in my house, guys. Like, for real, till to this day, like, it will be very awkward, very weird. This is not boyfriend, this is just male friends. So it's not unrealistic, like, that this happens. Like, there are actually some parents who actually don't allow such thing. Like, That is just reality. Like, they just don't allow it. So if they don't allow that, and it's heterosexual relationships, can you um imagine imagine finding out on social media that your son is gay? Like, can you actually try and put yourself in that parent's shoe? Yes, you can sit there and say, but it's not about the parents, it's about the boy. And also, at the end of the day, a lot of parents still see their kids, their 16-year-old, as kids. Like, people were really trying to be unrealistic, but then calling other people unrealistic and hypocritical, when it's like, but you guys, maybe, I don't know, because maybe you're not parents, or maybe you're only seeing things from your viewpoint. Like, you're only seeing things from your perspective, from this new day and age that we're living in. But this new day and age that we're living in, that's a new age. Do you get what I mean? Like, that's a new season, that's a new time. Times are not like this. Like, we are creating this inclusive world. Like, this inclusivity, what didn't exist before, is only existing now because we are pushing for it through all of these protests and through all of these campaigns. Like, we are pushing for this inclusivity. So this is new to a lot of people, especially to the old generation, and they are only understanding it now. Like, they're only catching up to it now. They are catching up to our times. You can see that because they are being forced to even use social media. But this is new, guys. Come on, like, this is new. So the fact that, so what Emmanuel was saying is what a lot of people were thinking or think. That's how a lot of people's mind thoughts are. But what people failed to understand, and what they were doing, was nitpicking, instead of understanding that, like, okay, he's not saying that he will disown his child, but how about ask him questions like, so would you be open-minded to then sit with your son? Like, okay, I understand that you feel strongly about the fact that you wouldn't go to his wedding, but would you be open enough to sit down with him and actually have a conversation and actually see where he's coming from? Like, do you get what I mean? Like, instead of shouting at him, how about ask questions like that? Ezo was kind of bringing a really good point about her household and her upbringing, and how men in the family don't do anything. So for that reason, she will go through her brother's laundry and clothes to do it. And through that, you could find out so many things going through someone's room. So these people on there acting as if it's like, why are you going through, like, ain't you being deceitful by going through their belongings? Like, the child is 16, please. What do you mean? Like, come on, like, that's not unrealistic, going through your child as a parent, going through your child's room or your children's clothes. Like, come on, like, not every parent is like, kikiing with their kids, like their friends, like giving them that freedom and they're doing this and doing that. No, a lot of parents, okay, especially African parents, need to be a little bit more open-minded, need to understand freedom. Sometimes my mum will still open my letters and I'm like, why are you opening my letters? Like, I'm a big woman, but I come in and I find my letters open. Some parents need time to understand that I'm actually of age. Like, people love to say that, oh, they're 16, they're of legal age. I'm sorry, yeah, but at 16, you're actually still a child. Like, that's one thing that I don't like, is like when kids want to act too grown up, but then when they get into certain situations, that's when they want to use the age and be like, but I'm only 16, but I'm only a kid. Like, you're not even 18 yet. Okay, first of all, it would be a shock for their parent to find out on social media that their son is gay. So on top of that, but what I will say is that it's their fault for snooping around anyway, because you'll always find whatever you snoop for. You go and search for something, there you go, you found it. Now what? Now it's up to that parent to maturely deal with the situation. If it was me, if I was to answer that question personally, I would allow the friend to come. Since it's the birthday, I don't want to spoil that birthday for that child. It's their big 16, their sweet 16, like the Americans love to do it. Their sweet 16 or whatever, let's just say. I don't want to spoil their birthday. I will just let the child come, and then I'll just watch them, monitor them. I will Do you know what I mean? Like, that's the best time where you can actually really observe. Do you know what I mean? Like, I would observe, and then later when everybody's gone home and then we have our time, I would sit him down and I'll say, listen, we need to have a conversation. I went through your stuff, okay, for whatever reason, because that person also has to explain, why did you go through my stuff? They also need to give their reason, for whatever reason. And I found out through your social media that this particular friend that you invited, you guys have some type of relationship. I wish you had told me, but let's have a conversation about it. Then I would do it after. That's what I would do. I would do it after. And there is nothing wrong with somebody saying that this their belief and they don't believe in that. They don't and people knew, I'm sorry, I've gone off a little bit. People, all of the people on the panel, yeah, knew exactly what he meant by he doesn't believe, but yet they want to be like, believe in what? Believe in what though? What don't you believe in? You know what I'm talking about. But you still want to act as if you want to draw me out. You want to be drawing me out. Okay. Guys, there was so much to say. I kind of felt a little bit like, in terms of the cast, I felt like Inkra could have said a lot more. Like, if, correct me if I'm wrong, right, but she's Somali, right? So it would have been nice for her to bring in her perspective based on her culture, or based on the religion, or based on the upbringing. It doesn't have to be personal, but just in terms of the culture itself and how it has been, maybe if she knows anybody, or it would have been good for her to kind of bring some type of experience or reference into the conversation. But I feel like the little speech that she gave at the end, it was kind of like the acceptance speech, the speech that you give when you wanna everybody to like you. You want, you wanna like you want to dodge a bullet kind of thing. That's what it kind of felt like. It was just like, not genuine. It was like really cute, and it was like, just love each other, love the world, love your child. And that's not life. Like, that's not what we're here for. We're not here to give cute speeches. We're not here to give acceptance speeches. If you're scared of cancel culture, if you're scared of being on the blogs, or if you're scared of not being liked, then I think you should give room for other people to come in who are actually going to give valid points on the show. That's why I love Ezo. Like, even though last week I didn't agree with her opinion, but I loved the fact that she's so bold, she's passionate, she's carefree, and she's a perfect candidate for this position, because you need somebody who's going to speak their mind. And it is what it is, And can we just not condemn people who don't agree with something? Like, the guy never said that he condemns those who are gay, like, and the fact that they can stand there, and when he was even like, have I treated you any differently, and they were like, no, but they were still trying to put words in his mouth. Like, big up you, Emmanuel, man, if you ever watch this, or if anybody, like, because the guy, I'm sorry, but you stood your ground, and you were not disrespectful. He was not disrespectful. And even when he said about unfortunately, and then they took that unfortunately and they were literally trying to run with it, boy. They were literally trying to do relay with that word. Do you guys remember relay? They were trying to do relay with that word. And you know what? He apologized straight away. He was just like, okay, maybe it was a wrong choice. Not even maybe. He was like, wrong choice of word, wrong choice of word. He apologized, but they were still trying to do relay with it. You see how people are selective with their hearing? That is what he means by agenda. And another thing, sorry, the last thing that I will probably mention is when he was talking about when you go to your workplace, my guy was going off with, when he's like, when you go to the workplace and then you have pins and rainbow here and rainbow there, that's not educating me on how to treat those who are homosexual. No. But then Gade was being very selective with his hearing, and he was just trying to be like, oh, so what, me dressing up what as who I am or what I want to be, that makes like that means that I have an agenda, or I don't remember what he was saying. And it's like, are you right? Like, that's not what the guy is saying. And then he started talking about the way he dresses in his confession. It's like, okay, you really want us to notice your merch, basically. Like, that's what you're focusing on, your dressing right now, because you want us to focus on your merch. Because I didn't really hear where Emmanuel was saying about the way that you dress. He was talking about, you know, the pins and the flags and all of these things that they have. They had it in my workplace as well. That's the things that he was talking about. It's like, that's not going to treat me or educate me. Like, that's not creating an awareness. That to me feels like it's, you're pushing that in my face. You coming into work with pink hair, green hair, crop top, that's your personality. That's you as a person. That's on you. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's not the same as me being forced to wear a rainbow pin. Do you know what I mean? Or like, no, like, it's not the same. And I was quite surprised, because I normally find that, and I've said it before, I felt like Gade was a good listener from his interviews, and I would have thought that he would have used the skill, but I feel like he was kind of overshadowed by maybe the fact that this was very close to home, and he wasn't able to be as vocal or as expressive in a I don't know. It was just very much like, bro, you're not listening. Like, you're being very defensive right now, and you could tell, like, I don't know. It kind of felt like, I don't know if I've said this, but it kind of felt like they were projecting their past pains and traumas on Emmanuel's points and point of view, and it wasn't fair. Like, it wasn't fair what he done. And NK, from tonight, like, if that behavior comes again, like, you should just come off the show, because you can't be telling somebody to be quiet on a backchat show. You can't do that. Like, that was very disrespectful. I didn't think that Emmanuel was disrespectful in any way. I feel like he was very respectful. It's his child at the end of the day, and he was very honest, and he was very real. Like, a lot of people, he said what a lot of people think. Do you know what I mean? Like, if it wasn't for people fighting for their own cause, like BLM had to fight, the LGBTQ community had to fight, like, everybody has to fight for their own cause. And if it's not for that, then we wouldn't be trying to create this inclusive world. You know, we wouldn't try to, we are literally trying to create the society that we want to live in, and we're trying to adapt to that. So this is a journey. And for those who are gay, and for the and want us to understand your life and your lifestyle, like, you just remember that it's a journey. Like, nobody on here is being disrespectful to you, nobody on here is condemning you, and so there's nothing wrong with me saying I don't accept that what you do, because of my belief. Like, my belief is that a man and a woman were created for one another. It was never Adam and Adam. Like, it was Adam and Eve. That's my belief, based on my religion and my principles, my morals, my everything. Now, I've not been rude to you, I've not been disrespectful to you, I've still called you bro, I've still, do you know, some people, yeah, can be so what's that word, when they hate gays, like, they wouldn't even be able to stand next to you, like, they would disown you, like, they would literally treat you like you're not a human being. But that's not the energy that Emmanuel, homophobic, that's the word, that's not the energy that Emmanuel was giving me. And I feel like it was very unfair that they were trying to project that onto him, when that's not it at all. Like, maybe that's what you've experienced in your past from your family members, from your community, but that's not what Emmanuel was saying. Like, he was saying some very real, truthful and honest thought processes. And instead of you to actually be like, okay, cool, do you know what, let me share something with you. When I was 16, when I was 17, I was scared to come out. I was scared to speak to my parents because of ABC. Or as a grown man, being gay, living in a society, the same, the words that you've spoken of today, these are the type of words that affect, do you get what I mean? Like, bring some kind of real conversation, but instead they were getting emotional and nitpicking. But overall, guys, it was a great conversation. It was a great topic. I absolutely loved it. I was shouting at the screen. So you know how normally I'm like, why are they shouting all the time? It was very much warranted, and it was very much like, it was welcomed. Like, I was even shouting myself. So it was great. Like, it was a great conversation. I'm very excited for next week. I feel like it's only gonna get better. And yeah, man, like, backchat, just keep doing your thing. Well done, Andy, just keep doing your thing. Like, I feel like some cast members need to step up. I'm really happy that Charlotte stepped up, because I kind of felt like she would have been drowning and being pushed in the back burner if she didn't come out, but she was very vocal. I really like that. I didn't really recognize Jadian. I think I've pronounced her name right. I didn't recognize her. She didn't really say much. But everybody else, yeah, great points and great conversation. And that, oh yeah, sorry, one last thing, that little fight at the end, like, why did they just have their phones out recording like that? Like, social media, man. Wow. So you are really seeing a fight of people that you get on with, and the first thing, you're bringing out your phone, smiling. That makes me believe that that was set up. That was part of it, just to create some kind of drama. Because if my friend, like, I wouldn't have time to be bringing out my phone like this. That's wild. That's crazy. Because let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll speak to you guys in my next video. I'm